Welcome to TradeTheNBA.com. This is John. This report is for the 10th of February. Well, right at the 50%. Institutions, as I was mentioning, would get active, and boom, shut it all the way to the 61. Pretty darn fast. Nice pivot up of magenta on the NBI, clearly driving the white NBI lower, meaning bullish setup there. The dip of orange below red, also bullish, as well as continuation of short-term buyers. It's not a steel reset, so it still could be precarious to turnarounds, but those are the signals we look for bullish, particularly right around that 25, and on a daily that's significant. If it had broken lower, we would have expected continuation of a drop-off, but that's not what took place. Likewise here, NQ looking identical. Didn't quite get the orange all the way drop, but certainly below the 7.5, which is a key factor, particularly when we're looking at it. And you can see it did underperform, relatively speaking, not even at the 50% yet. And that's just the divergence between the two. And of course, gold pushing right back up, and it should continue to do that as long as oil remains elevated. Euro still battling as to whether or not they're going to see rate increases, which would attract some interest to the ECB, but it's a mess in Europe still. But you can see more and more countries, even in Europe, trying to make changes to their policies because they realize it's not allowing for free flow of trade in goods. And of course, TLT had a nice bounce back as it started to capture more interest. But the fading down just means rates are still high. If we break a little bit lower, that could set off a much broader sell-off. From an NBI standpoint, still within a short configuration, though the short-term buyers crossing above gives us some potential turnaround juices along with that orange dip below 7.5. Also a positive for turnaround, which would be slightly lower rates if it happens, and then oil still up there. Everyone's watching tomorrow's CPI to see what the fake inflation numbers will come out at, and the whisper reason the market was supposedly up was that it's going to come in much lower, and we saw that with the unemployment numbers, where if you just go back in time and adjust the figures enough, you can get it to kind of work out what you want it to say. So we'll see if that's another thing they do, just so that the headline reads a positive, because most people don't get into the depths of those things to actually read what they say. Bitcoin still in a positive run right here, with magenta leading as well over yellow, and it's potentially going to cross over. So if we get a little bit of a turnaround there, that would be enough for a retrace. We have this positive extreme down at 44.2 to fill, and then of course, on a much broader sell, we would go all the way back to these. But usually we look for that first one, which is exactly right over here. That we got pretty darn close to filling before the shaky turnaround inside. That's still the primary target to look for. ETH, it's just so nice with the pink bars, simple sell, turnaround buys. Every time that magenta moved above, excellent moves. We had a little bit of soft spots, but magenta took over pretty darn quick, even before we got cyan under red at that particular point, and took off along with the late day rally in the market. And of course, 50K just continuing its move all the way from that basing down here at where was that entry? You can look at 44.75. So it's already 100 points from that buy signal. So intraday, it started early, and it was before the end of the market, continued in post-market. We'd already skyrocketed, but then we ended up with just this series of positive extremes. First, the other ones are marked at 34, 48, and then would have been 56. And then we start getting to the second run right here, which was at 59. So they get a little bit compressed right there. That's why we put them all down. But we ended up with some nice moves on those signals, because we came back, The ultimate low right here got down to 58, so it was within 2 points of that, matching that top retrace level. We still have the lower ones that are marked right there, but we popped up, started putting in a few little warning signs. We got right to the peak DOC spread, and that one filled in more than I expected it to, which was nice, but didn't quite make it to the lows of the previous one, so you ended up with one of those higher lows, DOC P2, boom, buy, and that's when things got a little weird, because it just, after this was fading, it immediately shot right back up, and we got to Magenta reading in almost 56 right there. Once it got over 55, I started to flip and short, and the drop-off was like super fast. But as fast as the drop-off was, as soon as the pivot back up took place, was pretty darn quick. So it was one of those where you gotta take what you can get in that kind of setup. The positive extremes that come from it were just to fill back to the 68 range, and so I was already set up to cover in the 70s, about 70 and 70 and a half range, and that's exactly perfect enough for better than an 80% fill. And once it popped back above, we pretty much stayed up there, and that's kind of where it is right here in post-market. So good action, again, nice ranges, despite the fact that we had that early run-up. It still makes it very tradable both ways, and also being able to see when you can add back into a setup if you were staying long gave great opportunities to capture some of the dip turnaround moves. As always, though, I'll continue to post updates on the Skype chat and putting in alerts for various 50K trades and that, so that you can always activate those, and trying to set them up to an email and go from there, and see how that works out. Send out that detail once I put it together, but the email would be one that would give our entries and those details rather than just the blanket TradeStation alert, so a little bit more complicated. As always, though, trade well. We'll talk again later. See you on Skype chat.